An entitled Karen calls me stupid, all because her phone bill wasn't paid, thus resulting in her service being canceled. But after dealing with this lady for far too long, I decided that enough was enough, resulting in me kicking her out of my store without helping her any further. And I honestly hope I never have to deal with that entitled Karen ever again. Here's what happened. Okay, so for a bit of background, I work as a manager for a major cell phone carrier. The amount of times we see customers who don't pay their bill and get mad that their service is shut off is crazy. Like, yeah, we're not going to provide you service if you don't pay what you owe. But I also do understand that people run into financial issues, and I will do what I can to help them out. Just don't be a jerk and we can see what can be done. So recently, I had a Karen show up to my store in a huff. When I see customers looking angry or annoyed come in, I take them instead of giving them to one of my reps, because I feel like ultimately I'll get asked to help anyways. So I see her walk in with her kids and I look towards her and I smile. I say to her, "Hi there, how are you guys doing today?" She looks at me and says, "Not so good." I continue by saying, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What seems to be the problem?" The Karen then says, "Well, you guys cut off my service and I'm mad because I talked to your customer service yesterday and they said that I should be fine with service until I make my payment next week." Now, when it comes to situations like this, all I can do at the store is have her pay her bill to restart her service. When customer service makes promises like this, which does happen a lot by the way, we can try to contact customer service and have them turn their phones back on. Now, the issue with contacting customer service for a customer who has a past due bill is that the call will just go straight to billing to make them pay. If we enter another customer service number, customer service will just hang up and report the store. So, knowing this, I tell the customer exactly this to give her the right expectation, but I assure her that I'll do what I can to get in touch with customer service. But when I said that, she did not like that. The Karen started screeching by saying, "What do you mean you can't restart my service or contact customer service? It's you guys' fault that my service is shut off." I say to her, "It's not that I can't, it's that it'd be difficult to get someone on the line due to your account status. I'm just trying to set the right expectations." The Karen then rolls her eyes and says, "Just get me my service running again." So I guide her to my store's phone and I call the number that we have to call customer service. On the phone, I chose the option to speak with a representative and the automated machine asked for the number I'm working with. I dial her number and we get sent straight to billing. We then hear the pre-recorded billing department message and the Karen then interrupts. She says, "That's the message that I get when I call them." So I say to her, "Yes, like I said before, this will be the only department you'll be able to contact and this is due to your account status." The Karen then says, "Well, then use your direct customer service line." But I explain to her that this is that number. I then say to her, "If you want, we can call back and try another option, but I think it will lead us right back to here." The Karen agrees, so I hang up and call again. I try this time to reach a different customer service department besides the general department that we call. But again, as soon as the system recognized her number, we hear the billing message again. The Karen then screams out, "This is garbage." But trust me, she didn't say garbage. Instead, she said a pretty bad swear word. I look at her and I say, "Ma'am, please, no swearing in the store." This Karen looks at me and says, "I'll say whatever I want. You can't tell me what to do." So I respond by saying, "Well, you're absolutely right, but I can't have you leave with no resolution to your problem." The Karen then says, "Well, then use someone else's number to get someone to answer." But I explain, just like before, that I won't be doing that. I won't be getting my store in trouble for doing that. The Karen then starts to plead. She says to me, "You have to listen to me. Now use your number to get someone else." I respond to her by saying that I'm not using my number. I've done all that I can do for you. If you want to use someone else's number, then you can call customer service from a different phone. The Karen then says, "Then give me their number." And you know what? I gladly did so. I start walking back to write down the number for her, and as soon as I open the door to the back room, I hear her say, "That guy is an idiot." I then stop in my tracks and I walk right back out to her. I look at her square in the face and I say, "You can leave right now. I understand you're mad about service being shut off, but that doesn't give you the right to insult me or my team. So please, just leave." The Karen then says in a condescending tone, "Well, I'm sorry. Just please give me customer service's number and then I'll leave." But I look at her and I say, "No, you can Google it." The Karen asks me how she's supposed to do that since her service is shut off. But I responded by saying, "Well, that's not my problem, so you can leave now." The Karen, after she notices that I'm not gonna budge, picks up her stuff and grabs her kid and then marches towards the exit. She says as she's almost to the door that I'm a jerk, which one of my reps replied by saying, "Well, at least he pays his bills." And honestly, I just hope I never have to deal with that lady ever again. Yeah, that's a really weird way for somebody to treat you, especially when you are doing doing everything you can to help them out. It's like, I'm sorry, lady, I'm not the reason your phone's not working. Maybe if you paid your bill once in a while, this wouldn't be a problem. Like, if you're really gonna not pay your phone bill and then be like, wow, why is it not working? Then you really have not thought this through like at all. And I just love the fact that your coworker had your back the entire way. They literally came back with the best insult, and that is so awesome. And hopefully, for the sake of the original poster and that store, that lady never comes back ever again. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. An entitled soccer coach gives me the cold shoulder, claiming that he has every right to use our field that we reserved, as he was there first before us. So I decided to maliciously comply, making him regret his decision right from the start, as he realized we had a professional-looking field that had all the bells and whistles he could only dream of having. And I've honestly never felt better about getting back at some jerk like that in my life. Here's what happened. Several years ago, I coached a kids' soccer team. It was a community recreation league with volunteer coaches, with a focus on fun and equal playing time. There were 2 fields next to a school. The third field is a 2-minute walk away and hidden behind a thick stand of trees invisible from the 2 fields. One would never know it was there, but it did have a small parking lot next to it that was accessible only by a rarely used, poorly maintained back lane. Most people would park in the school lot and walk the 2 minutes along the path through the trees. The 2 fields next to the school were typical school fields, not particularly well maintained, uneven, and definitely not regulation sized, so a typical school field. The third field was regulation sized, perfectly maintained, had new bleachers, and was maintained like a professional field, with regular waterings, cutting, and seeding. It was the groundskeeper's pride and joy. It was the first day of a new season, and my team of 10-year-olds named the Brown Pandas showed up for our first practice. But the problem is that there was another team on our assigned field, a team of talented players with matching socks and shorts, and they were all wearing cleats, and they were in their late teens. I approached the coach and explained that he was on our field, and that his field was a 2-minute walk away down the path. Well, he politely told me to take a hike. He was there first, so that was that. So, not looking for a confrontation, I took my team to the really nice field. The parents had bleachers to sit in, and we had a great time on the big boy field. After the practice, the groundskeeper asked me why we were practicing on this field. I told her what happened with the other coach, and she told me she asked the other coach to switch fields also, and he told her to get stuffed, and that was his field. Well, 2 days later at our second practice, his team was on our field again. So the groundskeeper called me over to talk to her and the other coach. She stated, "Just to confirm for the rest of the season, you are switching fields with the Brown Pandas on the far field, and your team is on this field, correct?" "Yeah, this is our field, and the little kids can be on the far field." And the coach looked incredibly arrogant as he said that. I stated that was fine by me, so I grabbed all of our soccer balls and I trudged over to the professional field. 2 glorious weeks passed when during practice the other coach came over with his team and saw the state of our field. He approached me and told me that we needed to switch fields, but I laughed in his face. I told him to go get the groundskeeper so we can discuss it. I then turned my back on him and probably did something like tie a kid's shoe or dry some tears. Remember, these are 10-year-old kids. His team started trying to use our field, and one of my Brown Pandas was scared of the bigger kids and started crying. A couple of parents stepped in and started shooing them away before one of the 10-year-olds got hurt. The coach later returned with his entire team and the groundskeeper, and she was beaming. She asked him if he remembered our conversation of 2 weeks ago, and that's when he started to argue. She told him that we were keeping the same terms of that agreement and to go back to his own field. She said, "Go on, scoot," and I remember her saying that so happily. We had our first game the next week, and all the Brown Panda parents were in attendance watching their children play soccer on a beautiful field with semi-comfortable seating and a working scoreboard. As we left, we walked by the other team playing on a muddy, oversized field. They eventually changed their game dates and times so they could use the big field but had to practice on the old field. And the Brown Pandas never had to set foot on the older field all season. And I've honestly never felt better about putting an arrogant coach in his place. Yeah, that other coach was a jerk right off the pass. Like, seriously, all you had to do was be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that. Let's switch places real quick, my bad." Or maybe even something close to that effect. Like, instead he wanted to be like, "Nope, we got here first, it's ours, we claim it." But it's like, buddy, what are you doing? Like, it is literally not that serious. Let's just calm down here real quick. So truly, good for you for maliciously complying, as well as basically outing this guy as a complete jerk, because his behavior was completely inappropriate and he definitely deserved to be shut down. My awful boss and awful coworker treat me like garbage, but one of the few silver linings of having to work with them is watching them bicker and fight back and forth while I get to watch on the sidelines. And after watching such incident happen today, I honestly felt happy that for once I wasn't stuck in the middle. Here's what happened. So I work at a pretty small, privately owned restaurant. I have this one coworker who we will call Jay, who is a massive edgelord. He really dislikes me, and trust me, the feeling is mutual. We can work civilly, but he occasionally will shoulder check me or say something really snotty. Everyone says he can't keep my name out of his mouth, and I don't know why, because I've only been myself, and I try to be super nice and helpful to everybody. But honestly, whatever. Now, our boss, who we will call Sam, is part owner. He studied somewhere fancy or something like that. He thinks making every single dish, process, and method as complicated as possible will make it sophisticated. He is a massive jerk, and any chance he has to belittle you, he will take it. So on Sundays, we do brunch, and trust me, it's a nightmare. Everyone is angry, nothing goes right, and it's a lot of work. We close at 2 p.m., and the closer will often stay until 5 o'clock p.m. alone, finishing the side work and everything up. However, they let us have as much free food as we would like, and after close, we all take a small break to eat together. So yesterday, it was brunch, and we had a new girl by the name of Lucy. Lucy forgot to ring in a soup for her table, but came back immediately and told them that she needed one on the fly. And this was our hostess by the name of Vicky, who's also Sam's stepdaughter, who had just rung in all of the employees' food. Well, Sam gets up in arms about it and says, "Oh, I see how you guys are. You can ring in your own food correctly, but not the guests, right? Thanks, guys." Jay eventually pipes back and says, "It's almost like two different people put those orders in." And when Jay said that, Sam got so mad, he started on a tirade about smart aleck comments and so on. And honestly, despite not really liking Jay and thinking he's a massive jerk, I'm kind of proud of that one singular moment. Yeah, I've had coworkers like Jay as well as Sam in the past, and trust me, both of them are cut from the same cloth. But I also realized, probably like the original poster did, that if you set them against each other, then it can quickly be an entertaining scenario. Because regardless of who wins that engagement, you win in the end because you see the two people you don't like going at it. And honestly, that's a beautiful thing to see, especially when you work in a toxic environment. Am I the jerk for talking about my supposed perfect pregnancy and making my sister feel bad? Because right now she says that I'm being a jerk and that I'm bragging about something that she couldn't have. And right now I feel awful and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my sister has an 18-month-old baby girl. Her pregnancy was very rough. She was very sick. Her husband and her separated in the middle of her pregnancy, and she didn't have a lot of support from our parents, which isn't their fault. They were low contact before she got pregnant, and that's because of some of the stuff my sister and her husband did. Lately, they've gotten back in touch again and are fixing their relationship. I am 35 weeks pregnant as well, and my pregnancy wasn't entirely hard. My husband and I have a good relationship, and I would say it's even better now. My relationship with my parents and our siblings has always been good too, and besides some minor inconveniences, my pregnancy has been going great so far. My mother is planning to move in with us for 1 or 2 weeks after I give birth, just to try and help me out, which is something she didn't do for my sister. We were discussing this last Saturday because our parents had a family dinner and both of us were invited. Our parents and our sister-in-law, who is my brother's wife, were asking me about my pregnancy as well, and if we were preparing for the baby. I don't feel like we were only talking about me and my baby, like we were all having a normal conversation about work, politics, football, and stuff we regularly talk about. However, when I was telling them about my last checkup, my sister told me that it's not right to brag. So I asked her what she meant by that because I wasn't bragging at all. She told me that talking about how good and perfect my pregnancy has been so far is definitely me bragging. Once again, I told her I'm not bragging, and my mom backed me up on that as well. But as soon as our mom spoke up, my sister blew up. She accused me of being mean, of being a golden child, of wanting to drag attention back to me, of being overbearing, and all this other stuff. She said I'm enjoying that she and her daughter are second-class citizens to our family because she's sure that everyone will spoil my baby as they spoil me, that I'm faking weakness to gain sympathy and have everyone pampering me. I told her to not blame me for her mistakes because if she didn't have a great support system, it's because of her own fault and not mine. She called me a selfish and spoiled brat, and I called her a bitter and envious jerk. She also had a fight with our parents and my husband. Lastly, our dad told her to leave. My husband and I stayed a little bit longer, and I will admit it, we were definitely talking badly badly about her. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I made a mistake. Our whole family is rethinking if we want to go low contact with her again. So I honestly just don't know, and I'm kind of doubting myself. Now, for some additional context, the problem our family had with her is regarding some inherited jewelry from our grandmother. She pawned them to go on an expensive vacation with her husband. She got some of it back, but lost a necklace that had been in our family for generations. We all love our grandmother and really valued these things since they were very important to her. And she never acknowledged her mistake or apologized, which really is the worst part about all of this. Because if she had at least apologized and said that she was very sure that she'll be able to get the items back, then I think it would have been different. She knows that she hurt us, but never even apologized for hurting our feelings and our grandma's memory. So honestly, I need to know, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you are definitely not the jerk. Your sister is a complete moron. Like, she's trying to pretend like you're bragging about your pregnancy while also conveniently forgetting how she pawned off a family heirloom. Like, seriously, all of her problems and distance she has with her family is literally her own fault. And this is like the lowest barrier of entry too, by the way. Don't sell off something that's precious to the family, and then there you go, nobody rightfully will hate you. Like, her entitled attitude and the way she's acting is honestly so obnoxious. And for her to basically be like, wow, stop bragging about your pregnancy, that is literally just her projecting her own insecurities on you, and that's not fair in the slightest. Like, you have not done anything to her. So in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk. I think your sister is incredibly weird and very entitled, and she's obviously very jealous about the way you're going about your pregnancy, because she literally dug her own grave in this sense, and now that she's angry that she's down at a really bad spot is only the result of her making terrible choices. Am I the jerk for defending myself against my sister-in-law, who was visibly upset that we waited to tell her that we're expecting a baby, as well as keeping the name of our baby secret from everybody else? Because right now she is very angry, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. My husband and I tried to have a child for 13 years before we accepted that we were never going to have it happen for us. We spent a lot of time hoping and trying different things, and nothing ever worked. I was 35 years old when we decided to come to terms with our life as a child-free couple. We sold our old house, downsizing considerably, and we started changing how we lived our life. We had devoted so much time to preparing to be a family with children that we didn't really know what we wanted now that it was no longer in the cards. Then, just after my 40th birthday, I discovered that I was pregnant. It was a huge shock, and what was even more surprising was that the baby was healthy when I went for my first scan. But I was afraid. I mean, we both were. So we waited until 18 weeks to tell people. I didn't really show until about 21 weeks, so that made it easy to hide. We announced and people were thrilled for us. All our siblings already had children who were 9 years of age and older, so this was the first baby born into the family for a while. We got asked about names and whether or not we would have a baby shower with a name reveal. We decided to keep the name to ourselves until he was born. We wanted something special and a surprise for people. Most people understood, but it came to our attention recently that one of my husband's sisters was not happy about any of this. She didn't like that we kept the pregnancy to ourselves for a while and disliked it even more that we didn't share the name. She brought this up at Christmas for the first time, and she surprised the entire family. She brought it up to my husband on 3 separate occasions after that, and then she brought it up to me 4 days ago. She told me that we left our families out when this was just as big of a deal for them as it was for us. She said everyone had waited for us to have a baby too, and how could we cut them out of something like that? She also claimed that we could have gotten feedback and blessings from our family on his name, which, by the way, for people who might ask, our child's name is going to be Hawthorne. I told her that the news came as such a surprise, and we worried and wanted to come to terms and get to what we felt was a safe point before telling anybody. She argued that we needed our family if something went wrong. Then she said that there was still no excuse for the name, that the name was kind of odd, and she would have liked us to pick something more classic, something like James or George. I told her I understood that everyone had their own taste, but we were getting one chance to name a child, and one chance to experience parenthood, and we wanted to make the most of it. I said we never did it to hurt anybody, but we wanted to do what felt right to us. She told me that was what my husband said and said it was lame, especially to defend myself that way when it was something that the whole family was experiencing. She told me we just wanted to leave everyone out and we should have known better. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you're definitely not the jerk. She sounds like one of those family members who crave to have all the information, also so they can lord it over other people who don't have the information. Like, she very clearly sounds like a busybody, and I would not pay her any mind. Because think about it, she's the only person complaining about this. She's trying to make it sound like, wow, the family should have known about all of this. But what she's really saying is that she should have known about this. Like, no one else is saying what she is saying. She is literally revealing her hand right from the get-go, all under the guise that family should have been involved. But in her mind, the only family that should have been involved is her. So no, you are not the jerk. I wouldn't even bother telling her any more information about your pregnancy, because if she's gonna act weird, then she can wait on the outside looking in just like everybody else. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.